Happy We Are Wednesday. We're all built with strengths and challenges. What are yours?
When I have a worry-filled mind, I like to wander outside. No telling what we might find. Birds calling, worms crawling, leaves falling down from above. Oh, I plant my feet on the ground. I keep my head in the clouds. I let my feelings out loud. I hear joy calling, fear crawling, tears falling down out of love.
Welcome, friends. I'm Mrs. A, and I am so glad that you joined me today. We're going to start off with a zones of regulation check-in. Do you see my zones up here? There are 4 different colors, and each zone represents a feeling of how our body is in this moment or how our mind is. The blue zone means that we are moving slowly. Maybe we're not thinking clearly. Maybe we don't feel very awake. The green zone means we're thinking clearly. Our body is calm and focused. The yellow zone means that we are losing control. Maybe our head is a little foggy. Maybe we're a little distracted or worried. We might even feel jittery in our body. And the red zone means we are out of control. We maybe are making big body moves and we don't feel like we can think clearly or do things in a calm way. Will you think about the messages that your body's sending you right now and how your brain feels? Will you identify what color zone you're in? I'll do the same. And after you identify the color, see if you can find an object nearby that matches the color zone that you're in right now. Remember, there are no good zones or bad zones, and we can move from one zone to the other throughout the day. We can also use different tools or strategies to move from one zone to the other, especially if we're feeling really big feelings. Maybe we're starting to lose control in the yellow zone, and we know that we have to get a job done, or we know that we have to help our friend with something. We might want to move to the green zone by taking a sip of water, or hugging a fuzzy friend, or taking some alone time and doing some deep breathing. Maybe coloring is a good way for you to change zones and get back in control or calm your body. There are so many different ways that we can try to help move our brains and bodies back into a comfortable space, no matter what zone you're in or how you're feeling in the moment. Did you find an object that matches your zone? Oh, great. I did too. My object is this plant here. All of the parts are green, and I'm feeling really calm and focused right now in the green zone. What about you? Thank you for taking the time to think about your zone and for sharing that with me. You can also share the color that you're in right now with the grown-ups nearby or a friend. Sometimes it's even helpful just to say it out loud and share it with yourself. The next thing I'd like to do after checking in with our feelings or zone is to take a peek at the date. It is the last month of the year. Do you know what month it is? December. And December is represented by a 12 because it is the 12th month of the year. And it is the 8th day of December where I am. Maybe the day is a little different for you, but it is the 8th day for me. And so I have 12/8/21. Do you know what that 21 represents? The year, yes. So I like to look at the date for a few reasons. 1, to kind of get a sense of the time and know where I am in our year. And 2, because it helps remind me to exercise. And exercising is a great way to clear our minds to refocus our body, and also to build muscles and get stronger. So we're going to do 12 moves, then 8 moves, then 21 moves. But before we do, we're going to take a peek at Fig here. Fig always shows one of our exercises, but they do not tell us right away. We have to guess by making some observations, thinking about what they might be showing us. We will find out in a little bit what Fig is doing, and then we'll give it a try. To start us off, though, we are going to do 12 arm circles. And we're going to count by twos, because 12, I can tell, is an even number. In order for me to know that, I have to look in the ones place, and I can see that there's a number there that can be shared equally, 2. And so when we have an even number in our date, we're practicing counting by twos. That means we will skip saying the odd numbers, like 1, 3, 5, and so on. And we will only say the even numbers. This is kind of like athletics for our brain. It helps us think a little differently, helps us get a little bit more comfortable with numbers, and it's kind of fun to do something different. So let's start with 12 arm circles, counting by twos. Ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Nice job. Thanks for trying counting by twos. Something like that, something new, can also be really tricky or challenging. So it's okay if you don't know how to do it yet. We'll keep practicing because our next number is also even. And we are going to do the exercise that Fig is showing us. Fig, what are you showing us? Great. Fig is running in place. Thanks, Fig. So if you're able, go ahead and stand up. And we'll run in place, and we'll count by twos up to 8. Are you ready to run? 2, 4, 6, 8. Thanks, Fig. Friends, awesome job trying out counting by twos. We'll keep practicing for the rest of this month and again in the future, so it's okay if you're not sure yet. Keep giving it a try. Finally, we have 21 moves to do, and we'll count by ones here because there's a 1 in the ones place, so it's odd. Nice thinking. We're going to do 21 opposite toe touches. So you can do this sitting or standing, and you'll take one hand and reach down to touch the opposite toe. As I said, you can do this sitting or standing, so get in a comfortable position, and let's do opposite toe touches. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. You did it. Fantastic. Now, in order to settle back down and even just cool my body down, after we do an exercise together, I always take 3 big breaths, and I listen for a bell that helps me remember when to breathe in big, and then I slowly let it out. Will you breathe with me? Thanks so much for building some muscles and cooling back down. Earlier, I asked what some of your strengths and challenges are. And one way to think about that is when you think of things that you are a fast learner with, what type of things are they? For example, are you quick at learning physical activities or sports? Maybe you can learn musical things really quickly. Maybe you understand people's needs or feelings well. Maybe you love working with numbers or being creative. We all have gifts and strengths that we're born with and can develop and get better at as we work on it and practice and grow over time. We also all have areas that are trickier for us and we are not as strong at yet. Let's take a peek at our message to learn a little bit more. Now, in my message, I often hide alliterations, and so one way to either use those strengths of yours related to words or practice building some word strength is to look for the alliterations that are hidden here. And an alliteration is when there are words nearby or next to each other that start with the same letter or sound. Dear, incredible, and unique you. There are so many different ways we are all smart and talented. For example, you might notice that you can pick up a tune or a beat really quickly. You may be music smart. You might be able to read and understand lots of different books or write stories of your own. You could be word smart. You may be a strong runner, dancer, jumper, or climber. You're probably body smart. Maybe you're always outside, finding bugs or growing gardens. You're likely nature smart. You could be creative, math, or people smart too. While we can be smart in lots of different areas, there are areas that are usually tricky or challenging for us too. Can you think of an area that you feel smart in? Which ones do you find challenging? Love, Mrs. A. Are you thinking of things that you feel smart in and some other things that feel challenging or difficult to you? Yeah, I'm thinking about how I am pretty nature smart, but I'm not very physical or body smart. Naturally, it's tricky for me to do things like play sports. It takes me a lot of extra time and effort when I know there are some friends that I have that can learn games and play sports pretty quickly and with ease. You were able to think of some too. Thanks for sharing. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about our differences in our strengths and our abilities and the areas that we find challenging, because you may remember that last week was actually International Day for Peoples with Disabilities. And we talked earlier in the week about having differing abilities. Some friends can use their words to speak. Some friends use their hands and sign in order to speak. And there are many different abilities that we all have and different ways that we interact in the world. And I wanted to share some books with you about some incredible people and characters and give you another idea or another perspective of what it might be like if you learned or lived in a slightly different way. So, this first book I have, although it is a fiction story, it is made up, it is a really great story about a student in a class, Mrs. Gorski's class, who has something that they call the Wiggle Fidgets. And I have known many students and many adults and grown-ups who have the Wiggle Fidgets. And so this story really made me think of all of those students and friends and family members and how they might be able to help figure out ways to meet their needs and still feel comfortable while also continuing to learn and be a part of their class. And so this book here is a part of The Adventures of Everyday Geniuses, and it is called Mrs. Gorski, I Think I Have the Wiggle Fidgets. It's written by Barbara Esham, illustrated by Mike and Carl Gordon. And I'm not going to read this book to you, but I do want to give you a little preview because, like I said, it's a story that really connects with me and I think will connect with a lot of you. Basically, we meet this student here and they have a lot of trouble focusing or listening in class. And as we go through the story, we actually find out that they have come up with some incredible solutions. And I'll give you a little peek here at how they actually talk to their teacher to help solve these problems. And I really like this story because not only does this creative friend figure out ways that they could help themselves focus or pay attention better or listen well, but they also suggest ways that they can help their friends focus too. And they did this all on their own. They used their own creative mind to come up with these ideas. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think just like this series says, The Adventures of Everyday Geniuses, I think that because all of our brains are designed differently and work a little differently, that there are so many different ways we can be geniuses or we can feel smart. So definitely check out this book from your library or bookstore. This next one I have is called How to Build a Hug, and it is about Temple Grandin and her amazing squeeze machine. It's by Amy Guglielmo and Jacqueline Torville, illustrated by Giselle Potter. And Temple Grandin is someone that I really admire. She is someone who is autistic, and in this book you actually learn a little bit about her story and her life, and you discover how she built a hug box. And that's why it's called How to Build a Hug. And we find out early on that she does not really like hugs. She doesn't like being touched by people that closely. And loud noises also make her feel really uncomfortable. But she goes off to visit the family member at a farm. And she meets cows and realizes that they don't like to be touched by other people very much either. And because she's nature smart and math and science smart, she actually designs a hug box to help the cows feel more comfortable and to help her feel more comfortable too. And Temple Grandin is an incredible person and teacher who is really, really wonderful to read and learn about. There's also a number of videos that you can watch with her in them and about her as well. So definitely check out How to Build a Hug. And last but not least, this book here, The Black Book of Colors by Minenna and Rosanna Freya. This book is really incredible because it's really dark, as you might be able to see, and it is written as if you are visually impaired or blind. And there's a little bit of information here. It says, it's very hard for a sighted person to imagine what it's like to be blind. This book helps convey or explain the experience of a person who can only see through their sense of touch, taste, smell, or hearing. And I think this is really incredible because as we're talking about differing abilities and being smart in different ways, I'm reminded of how people who are blind are so body smart. They actually read something called Braille. And you may or may not be able to see it here. I know it's really dark. But on these pages, there are small dots that are raised that you can feel. And people who are blind cannot see the words that are printed. They can feel and read the words. And so this book is written in Braille as well as with printed white letters. There are also some pictures that are made out of textures. So if you get this book from your library or bookstore, you'll be able to feel what I'm describing, even if you can't see it. Thomas says that yellow tastes like mustard, but it is as soft as a baby chick's feathers. And this page has feathers. Red is sour like unripe strawberries and as sweet as watermelon. It hurts when he finds it on his scraped knee. Here are some strawberries. Do you feel what he's describing? That red can be as sweet as watermelon or painful and hurt like when you scrape your knee. I love how you can be smart with all of your different senses. Brown crunches under his feet like fall leaves. Sometimes it smells like chocolate, and other times it stinks. On this page, I can feel leaves. don't want to spoil the entire book for you. But as I said, this is a really incredible and powerful book. If you want to keep talking about and learning about and thinking about all the different abilities that we each have and all the different ways we learn, I definitely recommend that you grab that one, The Black Book of Colors. Before we say goodbye, I would love to take a mindful moment with you. And mindfulness is a way that we can practice being present and clearing our minds and really focusing on just one thing that's happening in the moment or one thing that's in our environment. And today we're going to do a mindful stretch inspired by Temple Grandin. It's a stretch called Cow. And what we'll need to do is find a flat space like a floor or a mat. And we'll get on our knees with our hands flat. And in order to do the cow stretch, we will put our chin up to the sky and lift our tailbone high. We'll take a big breath in, and then we'll relax and take another big breath in. We'll do this for 3 big breaths. Will you get into cow pose or cow stretch and breathe with me? Let's do it. Chin up, tailbone high. Relax. And another cow stretch. Go ahead and flatten your back. We have one more cow stretch to do. Thanks for trying that stretch with me and taking that mindful moment. I'm wondering, what are you noticing about your body after moving or stretching in that way? Yeah. Maybe there are different parts that you're noticing or feeling a little bit more than usual. Maybe you haven't tried breathing or filling your belly in that way before. Maybe that felt different too. Thanks so much for giving it a try. Thanks so much for being here with me today. Please remember to like and subscribe, and please make it a great rest of the day. Sending you off with some love if you'd like it, a hug if you want it, and I hope you join me next time.